Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by SBK with Daryl Carter, Andrew Mount and myself, of course, as your usual team to guide you through this weekend's action. And what a mouth-watering lineup we have for British Champions Day this Saturday at Ascot, the 11th edition of which. And I'm delighted for organisers because I'd say when this was merely a brainchild of these organisers, they probably wanted this ground. This is exactly what they envisioned, and they have finally got the ground they were after. Hopefully all main protagonists turning up then and taking up their engagement this Saturday. So hugely exciting with 6 races signing off with the handicap. And as an added extra, we have the conclusion of the Jockeys Championship as well between William Buick and Oisin Murphy. So just to add some extra interest, not that you needed it at all, we also have the wrap-up of the Jockeys Championship as well. So plenty to look forward to. We're going to cover all 6 races here, as well as any other scheduled races we might have, any tips or any sort of bets at any of the other tracks. But the conditions, as I say, at Ascot currently listed as decent enough ground for this time of year. You have to remember it is a mid-October meeting. But as I say, it is currently listed as good to soft in places on the round course and good to soft on the straight track with mostly dry forecasts. So hopefully the ground will be no worse than good to soft. So hopefully also no excuses all round either. But without further ado, we had best crack on with our 6 scheduled races. So we're going to begin with Andrew. I'll turn to you first as we begin with the Group 2 British Champions Long Distance Cup for 3 odds and over 2 miles, where it looks a battle between the old and the new for the stayer's crown. So do you side with the young pretender of Trueshan or with the potential, or is there one last hurrah for the king that is Stradivarius or another runner, of course?
I think it's a bit harsh to say Trueshan, the younger guy. He's 5. But, I think the question is the ground soft enough for Trueshan to win? And I think the answer is yes. It's good to soft in places. There's been people talking about sort of good ground, and you're looking at fast ground horses on Saturday. It's still Ascot. It's still normally a bog on the flat course, has been most of the season. And certainly at this time of year, the ground's going to retain that moisture for a little bit longer. It's not like we're going to have hours and hours of very warm sunshine drying things out. So, yeah, I think Trueshan's got everything in his favour here. Impressive in the race last year. I mean, if you could choose the ground, you'd go soft or heavy rather than good to soft in places. As you say, it might dry up to good to soft on Saturday. But, you know, if the ground's going to be too quick for him, they're going to pull him out as they did at Glorious Goodwood, you would imagine. So, I'd be thinking he's the star in the race. He's very difficult. He's still progressive. He's very difficult to beat when he gets some dig in the ground. And I certainly wouldn't want to take him on with Stradivarius. So with Stradivarius, fantastic horse, but he is 7 now, and he is getting beaten a little bit more often than he was a year or 2 ago. And I think he's vulnerable again. Wouldn't be surprised to be finished out with 3. I've seen some judges sort of say, "Oh, he's the each way bet to nothing," and I'm thinking, well, is he? You know, he's a 7-year-old that the owner was talking about, you know, retiring quite recently. So if you're looking for an each way, maybe Baron Samedi, who was perhaps given a little bit too much to do in 3rd at the Curragh last time, and Sunny Boy Liston's race, the winner in 2nd, were up with the pace throughout that day. Got a new headgear combination on that might eke out a little bit of improvement. So yeah, Trueshan for me. Baron Samedi if you want an each way.
Perfect. Yes, as you say, Baron Samedi was in flying form, wasn't he? Bringing up a 7-timer there before. So that winning run did come to an end, but still should be more to come from him. So Baron Samedi for the value, but as you say, difficult to oppose Trueshan at the head of market for win purposes. Daryl, do you agree with that analysis of this race?
Yeah, to a degree. I am going to take Trueshan on, though. I'm really keen on Hamish for this. I think Trueshan and Stradivarius got into a right ding-dong battle just 14 days ago over in Paris. I think that's got to have left a mark on the pair of them. Hamish is the fresher horse that comes here. He's only got a neck to 5 with Trueshan on their meeting 3 starts ago for Hamish at Newbury. You know, and he was turned out quickly that day. He was turned out 10 days after demolishing a handicap off a mark of 98. He just tired towards finish. I think he needs a little bit of time between his races. They've given him 42 days on the back of his Kempton reappearance, where he beat Hookham, who gave the form a massive boost at Ascot next time out. He's very, very unexposed, is Hamish. He steps up and trip. I think that is a fantastic source of improvement for him. I think he's a real strong stayer. If you go back and watch his run here in the Hardwick behind Fanny Logan, he was passing horses inside the final 2 furlongs that they were stood still. He really was. There was a massive eye-catching run. Of course, you've got a slight issue with the bounce factor when he bounced after that long layoff, but they seem to know this horse inside out and can get him fit first time up. And I think this step up to 2 miles, he's been crying out for it, to be honest. I think he's a massive player here. I'm so keen on him on Saturday. I think Stradivarius, like Andrew said, he's been getting beat more often than not this season. And it was just sort of Frankie last time in Paris just sort of gave up. It looked like he couldn't go with Trueshan, and it was just sort of like, it felt like that's the end of an era with Stradivarius in Paris last time. But 14 days, both turning out 14 days later. I think you've got to take them on. That was a tough race over in Paris. Hamish is the one that is open to vast improvement. I'm going to have a good bet on him on Saturday, that's for sure.
Oh, I like that. I like the confidence early on in this podcast as well. Their first race.
Has he played his nap already with Hamish?
I was going to say, is that...
Do you know what? He almost is, but there's a double-figure price running at Ffos in a Welsh champion hurdle later, and I'll tell you what, that's a good bet.
Forget about the rest of Champions Day. Let's go straight to Ffos. Come on.
Yeah, sure. That's what everyone tuned in for. That's what everyone wants. Yeah, and nicely putting the feelers out there, the teasing out there for viewers as well there, Daryl, to keep them engaged until we reveal your nap later on as well. So nicely done. But a huge shout for Hamish there, and what a notable win that would be for the Haggis family as well. You know that they think the absolute world of this horse. So yes, he does look a huge player and at a decent price as well. Should the race at Longchamp have taken a toll on Trueshan and Stradivarius. So they are the stayers. What a cracking opener we have then at Ascot. But we're going to move on to the second race, the 2 o'clock. This is the British Champion Sprint Stakes, a Group 1 for 3-year-olds and over 6 furlongs. And it's our first Group 1 contest in our second race. In the form of this race, it does look a wide open contest, which is what we want, of course. Of course, it's a shame we don't have a few of the main protagonists that we've seen over the 6 furlong Group 1 division this year, such as Starman, who is obviously now retired, and so some of the other best sprinters around at the minute as well. So slightly dulled down because of that anyway. But who comes out on top, Daryl?
I don't know. The top of the market is very, very tight, isn't it? There's not really a standout candidate, is there? That they've all sort of been beating each other. They're all good on their day and quite capable of winning this on their day. That's for sure. I'm keen on Brando for this. I've been waiting for the right conditions for Brando for most of the season. The last time he got him was in the Prix-Maurice de Guiche over in Deauville, where he was beaten 2 lengths by Mariana Foot, staying on strongly towards the finish. Starman was just in front of him that day as well. If he was in here, he'd be the favourite. He's not got much to find with a lot of these on the July Cup run at Newmarket when the ground was quick enough for him. He loves Ascot. He's running this race 5 times. No second at 80-1 last year behind Glen Shield. I think he's got a big run in him. I'd completely forgive the last run at Beverley on over 5 furlongs on good ground. I advised to lay him that day. It was just all wrong for him. I don't know if they were just doing it just to keep him sharp. I suspect this has been the target for him. He's a huge price given the on the balance of his form over the years. I think he deserves a good victory like this. I think he's got a massive chance from stall 13. We must just talk about the draw actually, because they do tend to come over to the lower end of the draws down that far side rail in this race. It'll be interesting to see how it works out, but I'm hoping that Brando will get held up and he will be able to come wide with a long burst inside the final furlong. So he's going to be the first selection. I've got another one, but I can't really make a strong case, to be honest. But I think
do it anyway.
Yeah, well, he's 100-1 shot. So that it's a Zano for David O'Meara. This horse drops back 6 furlongs for the second time in his career, but the first time they did it, they held him up at the rear of the field. He just doesn't want to be held up. He's just a free-going sort, a free-going front runner. He's very, very quick out the gates. You know, his opening sectionals when he's been running over 7 have been really, really good. So I'm surprised it's taken them so long to drop him back to this 6. But I think this stiff 6 at Ascot could really suit him. He's a 100-to-1 shot. He's got some good back form over 7 furlongs. Whether or not he's good enough to win a Group 1, I don't know. But I tell you what, if you're going to get 4 or 5 places with some bookmakers, 100-to-1, I would not put you off if they just, as long as they just bowl along out in front of him. If he comes out the gates and they're trying to hold on to him, I'm not interested. I'll lay him in running. But if they get out the gates and they just bowl along, I think he could have a good chance of holding on at 100-to-1.
Well, Daryl, I've seen one firm offering 6 places.
6 places.
The general place terms are a fifth of the odds 5, but you can get a fifth of the odds 6 in one place. So.
There you go. Look at that. I think 100-to-1 at 6 places. If you can get that 6 places, I think it's a fair shout. I really do. He's got so much early speed, and he is the type to keep rolling.
He actually got his head in front at Redcar, which surprised me because this season all he does is bang, ping from the gates and find one to beat him.
Yeah.
And I know he was well drawn at Redcar, but he did impress me because I did my usual thing of back him to lay him in running, and I overlaid him this time and made him a loser, thinking, well, he's going to get ahead of him. Oh, hang on a minute, he's done something he hasn't done for a while. He's rallied when he's challenged, and he's come through and won. So yeah, that's certainly encouraging. Yeah,
I think at 100-to-1 he's worth throwing a couple of quid at. Why not?
Yeah, as you say, if you're getting 6 places, a fifth of the odds, then for Asano at 100-to-1. Certainly not to be sniffed at. And as you say, then you can always lay him in running if they do, then hold him up. But ideally, with that style of running that that we know him for, and with that extra stamina to his name, surely they'll be tempted to send him out in front, won't they? So big shout there for the outsider of the entire field, Asano at 100-to-1 there, just to keep an eye on. But of the rest of them, your main bet though for Brando, who's running in this race for the 27th time in his life and around a 25-to-1 shot. So huge shout for the lovable 9-year-old that is Brando. But Andrew, do you see this as wide open?
What a race! It's fantastic, and it is wide open, I think, because there are doubts about some of those at the head of the betting, and there's a stupid amount of pace in this race as well. Not just Daryl's Asano, but you've got Glenn Shield, who pretty much made all when winning this race last year. They've stuck the blinkers on that one for the first time. That is, well, in terms of breeding, pivotal in first-time blinkers go really well. But in this race, 34 horses in headgear have taken part. All 34 have got beaten. So it's not been a race for headgear. And again, you look at the others, you've got first-time blinkers on Keep Busy, you've got Nando Parado wearing the first-time cheek pieces, you've got Highfield Princess, you've got Last Empire, you've got any amount of pace all over the track. And you're thinking, well, surely they're going to set this up for a closer. Yeah, I know it doesn't always work out like that, what looks a strong pace on paper, but with this number of runners, with this quality of horse in opposition, you've got to think somebody's going to come from off the pace, and if not win, at least go very close. So, Daryl Brando very nearly picked up Glen Shield last year. That's he's made a good shout for that one. The Dream, who Daryl tipped when he won over course and distance in Group 3 company last time. He's got she's got a great record at 6 furlongs, first, second, fourth, and first. But it is another couple from that race that I'm going to side with. In that race, I picked 2 each way. Ventura Diamond, who was third at 50.
Very unlucky.
And Ainsdale, who was fourth at 28-to-1, I think it was. Now, the reason for going with Ventura Diamond was because she's an autumn filly. Last year, she took off at this time of year. She finished 6th in the 2-year-old trophy at Redcar, winning the race on the stand side, and she then won twice at Leicester and Newmarket. This year, similar story. Best effort was last time out. The first run in October of this year. You say third, half a length, 50-to-1. She's going to come from off the pace. She likes to dig in the ground, and she's going to have the race run to suit. She's 80-to-1, 100-to-1 in the place, I think. Now, Ainsdale in that race was best of those who raced up with the pace in fourth. So that's the concern, whether he's ridden prominently again. But I will throw a couple of quid at him. He's had 6 runs in October, 4 wins and a couple of 4th place finishes, and one of those in Group 3 company over course and distance last time. So I think it's wide open. I think they'll go too hard up front. I'm hoping they do, and I hope they set it up for Ventura Diamond. So she's the pick each way.
Should probably give a good mention to Rohan in here with the amount of pace on in the race, given how he flew home in the flying 5 at the Curragh last time. Remarkable performance. Stepping back up to 6, back at Ascot. He's obviously got a good record.
One point as well, we should mention Sylvester de Souza. A lot's been mentioned about his record at Ascot in recent times. Since racing resumed after lockdown last year, he's had 70 rides at Ascot. How many winners? Anybody want to guess?
Ooh, much less than we're assuming, I'm guessing.
14.
Out of 70 rides at
Ooh.
Ascot,
I'll be kinder. I'll go 20.
one.
One.
He's one from Sylvester is 1 from 70. The expected number of winners was 7, but that one winner was Art Power, 6-4 favourite, who was incredibly well handicapped in that 5 furlong Royal Ascot race last year. So Art Power stall 20 pace angle, but can Sylvester double his recent tally at Ascot?
Yeah, as you say, double his recent tally. Goodness me. And it's one of those trends that you just assume, and so many trends that just get passed down the years because they're so reiterated without actually going back into the recent stats. And Sylvester de Sousa at Ascot being one of those. But actually that record, as you say, is speaking for itself currently, but wide open. And the lads have given mentions to the 3 outsiders of the entire race at all around 100 to 1 you can get if you pick your places at least anyway, and definitely look into that market for this race. But Daryl for Azano, then we've also had 2 positive mentions for Ventura Diamond and Ainsdale as well for Andrew, as well as I mentioned there from Daryl for Rohan as well, because of how unlucky and what an eye catcher he was at the Curragh Mount. But I'm actually, believe it or not, napping in this race. Call me foolish, not for the first time, but yeah, it's going to be with one of my horses of the season, Creative Force. I absolutely love this lad. I've loved everything that he's done this season. It was really interesting at the start of the year because he won 3 of his first 4 starts, and you thought, right, well, he's going to be facing soft ground for the first time in the Carnarvon Stakes at Newbury. Is that going to suit him? He got worked up beforehand, and he still ran out a really impressive winner. And since then, for me, he's just gone from strength to strength. He had to be up to 7 furlongs for the Jersey because he was a gelding, so he couldn't run in the Commonwealth Cup. So the hand was forced, had to up him in trip 7 furlongs. Many people doubted whether or not he was going to get the trip. I think he just got it. I wouldn't say he was a confident 7 furlong performer, but I think a stiff 6 furlongs suits him down to the ground. He was one of the unlucky horses in the July Cup after getting stopped in his run a few times. Second at Goodwood to Kinross. That was a little bit disappointing for me that he couldn't win the Lennox Stakes. Last time out, nothing went right for him at Haydock. He stumbled out of the stalls. And then he came home in good style, showing that a stiff 6 furlongs, as I say, should suit him, and softer ground as well. Bit of cut in the ground. So Creative Force for me to put his course record to good use, but hopefully over a more suitable trip here as well. And as you say, I think he's going to get the test with the pace that's on that he's really been crying out for as well in those recent starts. So Creative Force for me, nap of the weekend in a wide open British champion sprint stakes. So we're going to see how that goes, but I just love him. So one last chance to side with him here. But we're going to move on to the next race, the 2:35. It is the turn of the fillies and mares in the Group 1 fillies and mares stakes for 3-year-olds and over a mile 4, where Snowfall is currently an odds-on favourite at the time of recording to get back to winning ways as she faces her own sex again here. And if she can show any of the form from her trio of Oaks wins earlier in the season, I mean, she bolts up in this, doesn't she, Andrew?
Yeah. She's gone over the top for the season, I'm hoping. 5-4 on. She had a hard race in the Arc. Her form tailed off at this time last year, and I thought she's probably had enough, and she would be vulnerable today. I know she's back against her own sex, and she's running against weaker opposition than she met last time, obviously. But you can keep your 5-4 on. Wonderful though she has been this season. I just thought it might be one race too many, and I'll be happy to take her on. Albuflora likes it here, likes digging the ground, and should run her usual solid race. But 3-year-olds have a superior record. I just thought Invite was the one to go with. I was so impressed by her at Chester when she won on her debut for Andrew Balding. She could be called the winner a long way out. She was the only 3-year-old in that listed contest, and that took her record in Britain to 3 wins and a couple of seconds from 5 starts. I mean, she's had 6 runs. She's had 3 trainers. She won a sole start for Sylvester Kirk, then went to Marco Botti and won for him. One of the defeats came on good to firm ground. It's interesting, since she's joined Andrew Balding, he twice pulled her out on officially good going and then ran her at Chester last time out when there was plenty of cut in the ground. So she looks pretty special on what we saw last time out. I know Ascot and Chester are obviously very different tracks, but you look at where else she's won. She's won on galloping courses like Doncaster. So hopefully she's shown form at right hand at Windsor. So going around a right-handed bend shouldn't be a problem. And I thought Invite was the value here, around about 11-2.
Yes, as my current reading shows, about 11-2 there for Invite to hopefully double up there on the second start for Andrew Balding. But very interesting taking on the favourite. Daryl, do you try and take on Snowfall as well?
Oh, I'm not getting involved in this. I totally agree with like what Andrew just said. I thought Invite would be the one to if you did want to take her on. I thought Invite would be the one, but I wouldn't want to be taken on. I didn't think she ran too badly in the arc. She broke well. She was very, very keen early on, and she had to drop back into about fifth last just to get some cover. She was last off the bridle. She made her move. It just petered out towards the finish on that heavy ground. I don't think she wants deep ground like that, to be honest. This is 13 days later, but she's so far clear in terms of form. It's very difficult to pick holes in her. But yeah, Andrew's correct. Invite would be the one to take her on for me. I don't think there's much depth in behind her, though, so it will be a case of her underperforming.
I suppose with the dead eight runners, you can just bet Invite each way, or you can back Invite to win and have a saver in Invite without the favourite, or Invite to finish second to Snowfall in the forecast, and get yourself covered that way if you find Snowfall too good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, plenty of options in there, and Daryl doing a perfect impression of a legend that is Gemma Collins. I'm not getting involved. So nicely.
Don't call me. Oh, I can't believe you called me Gemma Collins. That is. Oh my god.
Don't get that.
Think I need GG to pay my mortgage.
Secretly get that trending, please. So yes, very, very tricky race because this Snowfall is at her best. She's going to be very difficult to beat. It's just that question whether she is going to be at her best and whether or not she's been given enough time to recover from her run in the Arc de Triomphe as well. But two notable mentions there for Invite, should you want to take on Snowfall there. And you're getting an each way price about her, or you can go down the betting without the favourite market, or for, as you say, just an each way play. So yeah, Invite looks very interesting. The 310, it's now the turn of our first duel, seemingly, between two superstars. It's Baaeed versus Palace Pier, the 3-year-old versus the 4-year-old, the up-and-comer who could be anything yet versus the proven superstar who probably hasn't always got the credit he deserved. But this looks the battle we really just want in this sport. But do you side with either one of the two at the head of the market, Daryl?
Yeah, I'll side with Baaeed. Baaeed. He gets £3 off Palace Pier here. 3-year-olds have got a good record, won 6 of the last 9. I don't actually think this track suits Palace Pier too well. I don't think. I know he won the Queen Anne here, but that's not got much strength and depth to that form. Lope Fernandez in second. I mean, Sir Busker in third. That form's been torn apart all season, really. I did really like Palace Pier last year, but this year it just seems like he picked up a few weak races, and I thought he was lucky to hold on last time from Poetic Flair, who got going all too late. And the other time he's bumped into a decent horse, he was beaten by the Revenant, who's back in here. So I don't know. I don't know about him. I don't think he's a superstar. I know it's bad to say that given his rating of 125 and stuff, but I really don't. I think Baaeed could be anything. I thought he was a little bit below par in Paris last time, beating Order of Australia. But there was just a moment in the midsection of that race where he just showed how good he just quickened, and it was powerful, and he just saw it out really well. He may have had a long season by the time it gets to this point. That would probably be the slight concern with one so inexperienced. But I do really like him. I think he's a very, very good horse. He could be anything. He really, really could be anything. He could be a superstar of the future. He's drawn in stall 10. It's going to keep him on the wing. How this race is going to play out, I'm not entirely sure. But I thought Baaeed was. I thought 5-2 was far too big, really, in comparison to Palace Pier, to be honest. I thought the one that could upset the apple cart might be Master of the Seas. I thought he ran well behind Ben Battle last time, off the back of a few month break after injury. He's going to improve a ton for that, I would suggest. And he hasn't got too much to find with the two at the top of the market. He's barely done anything wrong. He's a 9-1 shot. He's a 3-year-old as well. But Baaeed, I'm just going to take a chance on Baaeed. Just the raw ability of him, and hope that we see a superstar on Saturday.
Yeah, he could be an absolute freak, couldn't he? As you say, he's already been talked about in the same breath as Frankel. I mean, he's still got a fair enough to prove himself to be talked about in the same breath as Frankel just yet, I think. But by winning the QE2 over Palace Pier, he may well be able to do that. Andrew, are you on the proven form? Are you on the potential superstar? Or sorry,
I just want to thank you for not saying, talking of absolute freaks. What do you think, Andrew?
Talking of superstars who don't get the credit they deserve.
It would have been
she respects you.
Yeah, shut up,
Gemma Collins over there.
But this is an absolute belter. I did look at the 3-year-old angle, but don't get carried away with that, because the 3-year-olds have won exactly the number of times the betting says they should. Same with 4-year-olds and older horses. That there is no sort of strong statistical, leaning towards one age group or the other. Now, I mean, pace-wise, you look at this, you think, well, maybe Ben Battle's going to get an easy lead, but he probably needs it quicker, and you'd rather have him making the running in the rolling mile at Newmarket than at Ascot. So I think he'd be up against it. The Revenant, last year's winner. Even good to soft in places. If it stays that way, would probably be too quick for him. So fantastic though he is, I just think he needs proper sort of, soft, heavy, French peeing down at Longchamp for 6 weeks kind of going. Alcohol free. We were chatting with producers Tom and Joe before the show today, saying that wouldn't it be ironic if Oisin Murphy wrapped up the jockey's title on alcohol free. And I can't claim credit for that gag, it was theirs. But when you look at a record of good to soft or softer, 3 wins from 3 starts. She didn't stay the trip in the Judmonte last time out, and I thought she had a solid chance here, and wouldn't be surprised if she won. Lady Bowthorpe, I thought it was the wrong time of year. Wonderful though she is, she does tend to peak earlier in the season. And I'm going to side with a funny one who didn't do me any favours at Arc Weekend, and that's Njord for Jessica Harrington. Now, he disappointed me there, and he finished 11th of the 15 runners. I thought, how have I got that so wrong? And I went through his form, and the problem was, I think, the big field. He met trouble there. And you look at his record, he has won in big fields on occasion, but every single time he's been drawn wide. He's come round the outside of the field and got a clear run in his races. Now, on a straight track and coming out of stall 8 of 10, coming back, so stepping back up to a mile with, that 7 probably being too sharp in the Prix de la Flora. I thought he got a chance at a big price here because he won at this meeting last year, didn't he? The Balmoral Handicap. And again, it was a big field, but they split into 2 groups, and he raced with about 7 or 8 others in the early stages. So he's 80 to 1. I've got to throw a couple of quid over him each way. I say those at the head. I mean, Palace Pier wouldn't surprise me if he won. Baaeed, a great horse for getting rid of vowels in Scrabble, 2 E's and 2 A's. So, I like that. But I agree with Daryl. Could be absolutely anything. But at the prices, I can applaud him if he wins by 5 lengths at sort of 2 to 1, 9 to 4, and not be too disappointed that I've missed out. So yeah, each way Njord, and don't be surprised the alcohol-free raise a few laughs as well if Oisin gets that one home.
The headlines are already written, aren't they? Completely there. Yeah, so a really favourable mention for Njord, who's about an 80 to 1 chance as well. Huge price in this race, but also for the irony of alcohol-free, who just, these sorts of stories are just written in the stars in this sport. And yeah, with alcohol-free there, that might well seal the Jockeys Championship for Oisin Murphy. But Baaeed it is for Daryl, Baaeed for myself as well. I just think he could be absolutely anything, and he has just done nothing but impress, and I just think he's improving the whole while. He's still getting the £3 from Palace Pier, and he is still just a 3-year-old. Hopefully the season hasn't caught up with him just yet, but yes, he has the potential to be an absolute freak. And a favourable mention as well for Mother Earth. I mean, I thought she looked overpriced in this, considering her iron constitution, and with Ben Battle up with the pace, then I thought that Mother Earth, she was likely to at least track that anyway, and that might play to her advantage. But yes, all taking on Palace Pier though, because he probably isn't seen at his best over this course and distance. So we're going to move on to the 350, the GG.CO Champion Stakes, Group 1 3-year-olds and over a mile 2. And we now have another seemingly head-to-head, at least as the market would have it anyway, between Mishrif and Addeybb at the head of the market. Another cracking contest in store as well. And Mishrif and Addeybb, who of course faced each other in the King George over a mile 4 at Ascot at the end of July, where Addeybb got the better of Mishriff. He was getting £11 from Mishriff and got first run on him as well. But they both dropped to a mile 2 here. But who is that more likely to suit here, Andrew? Can Mishriff reverse that form?
Yeah, I mean, Mishriff, on the balance of his form in Britain, I don't want to back him at 6-4 for this race. Again, he's a bit like Palace Pier. Wouldn't surprise me if he won. I'm not about backing short price horses. Addeybb, is this a bit of an afterthought to try and give William Buick a bit of a chance of winning the jockey's title? Again, another one who's coming from the Arc meeting. It'll be fascinating to see, when we look back at this meeting, how those horses that ran at Longchamp did fare. Addeybb, what a superstar he is. Wouldn't surprise me if he won this again. But I was looking at bigger prices. Now, Sealaway was on my shortlist for the Arc. He's finished 4th. He's a funny old so-and-so. Every race he runs in, he's always described as outpaced before staying on late. It could be 5 furlongs, it could be a mile and a half. Outpaced mid-race still. Now, I thought, because obviously he's been plying his trade in France, where they generally crawl in the early stages. He gets outpaced and then he stays on again. So I thought, if we get a true gallop, he might actually be suited by coming over to Britain and the tempo of our racing. And obviously, we've seen plenty of French horses come over and run well at this meeting. So I thought Sealaway had a squeak, around about 12-1. The other two I was looking at were Dubai Honour and Fox's Tail, whose form ties in together. I mean, Dubai Honour is effectively 4 from 4 since Gelded. The first one of those, he was 4th of 29 in a handicap at Royal Ascot, won the race on the wrong side of the track. Since then, he's 3 from 3. And again, he's working his way up through the ranks. He won in Group 2 company last time out. He's progressing rapidly. Could be absolutely anything. But rather than there could be absolutely anything with Baaeed and you're taking 2-1, 9-4, you're getting sort of 7 or 8-1 about this one. So Dubai and Fox's Tails. Now this will make you laugh because this is Sylvester at Ascot. But he ran at Chester in May. He completely failed to handle the track, as horses often do. But his other runs since his debut, 5 runs, 3 wins and 2 seconds. Those defeats by a head to Dubai Honour. And by a neck when perhaps finding a mile 3 too far. It blinkered for the first time. Progeny of Zoffany in this headgear has shown a profit of £71 to a £1 level stake. So and he's 50-1. So yeah, I might be able to forgive sort of Sylvester's poor recent Ascot record. 1 from 70. Maybe he can boost those stats with a 50-1 winner. So I'll put Dubai Honour up as my a pick in the race in terms of this video. But yeah, don't be surprised to see Fox's Tail run some sort of race at a huge price as well.
Yeah, because if you like Dubai Honour, I mean, naturally you should like Fox's Tails then, and Fox's Tails is a huge price.
7 times the price.
Completely. When there was only a head separating them. But Dubai Honour, I think he actually had a spell with Olympic gold medalist Laura Collis as well, which has apparently been a bit of a transformation for him, getting him to do some groundwork and William Haggis sending him there. So that's the trend we're seeing more and more. So trainers sending their horses to top-notch event riders and just sort of getting them to use their brain in a different style. And apparently that's been a difference with Dubai Honour as well. But Daryl, yourself for this race, are you siding between Mishriff or Addeybb, or are you also looking elsewhere?
Oh, what a price Addeybb is. What a price. What an each-way price that horse is for this race. My goodness me. Finished behind St Mark's Basilica last time. At Sandown in the Eclipse, finishing ahead of Mishriff. Now, Mishriff may have needed the run that day, but I thought Tom Mark 1 got the tactics all wrong on Addeybb, trying to set slow fractions and turn it into a bit of a sprint. I didn't think that suited the horse at all. He stayed on again towards the finish. I think he's better when he gets a horse to drag him into the race. I think Adeybb's probably going to come over from stall 9, try and make the run in. I think Max Sweeney is the other one that's probably a likely pace angle from stall 6. I think Addeybb in stall 1. Break well, sit in the front 3, and I think he'll quicken away and win this race again. I'm not convinced about Addeybb at the moment. He's got the physical looks of an absolute superstar. I don't know if you saw the camera angles of him trotting around in the Arc in Paris. He just looks like an absolute star, but I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced by him, and I don't think he wants any cut in the ground either. I think he wants a quicker surface. Mishriff, you can tear that Juddmonte form apart. In fact, I'll do it right now for you if you want. Alan Kerr wants soft ground and wants further. Finished second. Love has been well out of form this season, and to be honest, her form from last season when winning the Yorkshire Oaks and the Epsom Oaks, etc., is just not good at all. Mo Hafif failed to stay the trip. Max Sweeney wants soft ground. Alcohol Free failed to stay the trip, and Juan Elcano was beaten in a lesser race next time and had very few excuses. I just thought the race was just so over-egged because he won by 6 or 7 lengths. It really, and they gave him an RPR of 128. Honestly, sometimes I don't know where they get these figures from. I really don't. He's been, like I said, behind Addeybb in a Coral Eclipse. He was well beaten by Addeybb in this race last year. He's 6-4 fav. Addeybb's 15-2. Makes absolutely no sense to me at all. Course, distance, ground, everything. Addeybb ticks all the boxes. Absolutely no negative with Addeybb, apart from the age of 7, I suppose. Can he do it again? But I don't think this is that strong in depth, really. I don't think this is that strong a race. I can't believe you're getting 15-2 each way, 3 places for Addeybb. Unbelievable. Giving away money they are this weekend.
completely see the angle there with Addeybb, which say with ground probably still in his favour, back over his course and distance. Winning this race last year is a big shock, but as you say, with the doubts you have about Addeybb turning around so quickly on the back of a hard race, and Mishriff with that Judgment International form being very nicely torn apart there by Daryl in effortless style. So that was that was definitely, even for the most staunch supporters of Mishriff, that's going to be enough to make you question whether or not that form is going to be enough to win this race here. And it is far more open than the market suggests. So big shout for Addeybb. And a big shout from Andrew for Dubai Honour, as well as Fox's Tails at a huge price as well. So we're going to move on to our last race of the day, signing off with the 4:30, the Balmoral handicap for 3-year-olds and over a mile, again on the straight course as well here. This is our final scheduled race to discuss, at least anyway, and it's a brilliantly tricky puzzle to sign us off with yet again. Now, looking back at the last few years, wouldn't suggest that this race necessarily goes to a horse who is progressive either, which I found very interesting, and is likely to and not necessarily a horse that's going to go on to bigger and better things. Normally it goes to a battle hardened type, because this race was won last year by Njord, who we spoke about earlier on, but this race was won last year by him, who hasn't won since. Escobar in 2019 hasn't won since. Charger Bridge 2018, who came from an impossible position to win this race in 2018, but did win his next start on his reappearance, but that was it. So again, I was looking through those last few runners, and for that reason, I was trying to take on Sunray Major, who is the unexposed, potentially very well handicapped horse at the head of the market here. But I narrowed it down to a running style I also want in this race, which is ideally held up. I'm hoping.
You've been reading my stats.
Oh, sorry, Andrew. I'm just trying to beat you. Wonderful. I'm so pleased that we at least agree, because that slight head throwback, I didn't know whether that was in agreement or in complete disbelief of what I was talking about. So I was narrowed it down to King Leonidas, Nugget, Matthew Flinders, Magical Morning, and Symbolize. But Magical Morning, if he gets the Spencer treatment, Symbolize, but God knows how he's going to be ridden. But the horse for me, who I was fascinated by, is Busker, and this is going to be my second sort of best bet of the day, really. And he is about, as I scan for his name here, he's massively contracted in the market. When I was looking at him last night, he was 20-1. He's now 12 on my showing. He is rated 111, but he's age 5. He's drawn 3. Might not be ideal if he gets stuck against that far side rail. He's had a month since his last run, which is ideal, and he's a hold-up performer. Good Ascot record, 4th in the QE2 last year, 3rd in the Queen Anne in June. Not at his best last time out, but a mile is probably his trip. So I thought Busker was overpriced, but I'm also going to have a saver on Nugget and King Leonidas as well, because I think that their run style, their rating, everything about their profiles should really suit them for this race. But less about me. Andrew, do you agree with anything I've just talked about?
Yeah, all of it.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, you look at this race, we've had 7 runnings of this contest, and every single one has been won by a horse who's come from off the pace. There was another thing they had in common as well. They'd all had a recent outing within the last 28 days. I think 25 days. Njord was the longest absence from the track. So fit and likely to be ridden patiently. So if you just bet every horse who was described as held up in its latest outing, run within the last 4 weeks, you'd make a profit. Not a huge one, £9.50 to a £1 level stake, but you would have found the winner every single year. Now, last year, that shortlist was just 4. The year before, it was 8. on occasions it's been sort of 11, 12 or 13, so it doesn't necessarily help. This year, I was the shortlist is Oh This Is Us, Accidental Agent, Escobar, Salt on Store, Young Fire, who's a reserve, Kenzai Warrior, Nugget, Al Rufa, and King Leonidas. Sir Busker just falls out of that sort of recent run angle, but only by a few days. So perhaps it's a bit picky to exclude that one. So yeah, I thought Oh This Is Us was half interesting at a price because David O'Mara's won this twice in the last 4 years, and Young Fire was very keen on if he got in, but say he's a reserve, and he's still been nibbled at a little bit in the betting. Escobar could bounce back returning to this race. Pace-wise, there's not silly amounts. Not impossible that Marie's Diamond on the far side, the only pace among the low numbers, might run a race as she did in the Cambridgeshire when third on the far side, seventh overall. But probably we're going to see something come from the back and do them all. And in terms of which one it is, I think I'll go with the David O'Mara angle and go with Escobar and Young Fire. So Young Fire might not get into the race, needs a non-runner or two.
Yes, you say reserve 21 there, Young Fire, but a notable mention as well for, who was your other one? Apologies.
Escobar.
Escobar, there he goes. I've lost him. Yeah, around a 20 to 1 shot as well there, Escobar. So really interesting to see if he can win this race that he won back in 2019, see if he can come back and win the 2021 edition. Daryl, do you also see the pace going the way that we're hoping?
Well, I haven't done as much work as you two have on it. I honestly haven't done as much work as you two have done on it. I was quite taken with King Leonidas' reappearance at Newbury. But this is the type of race. I mean, the lowest rate to get in this race was 101. The highest rate is 111. There's £10 between a lot of them. It's very, very tricky. It's probably going to be a race I'm going to avoid. To be honest, I thought King Leonidas was most likely to improve and take another step forward. This may well have been a target for them, giving him that prep run 28 days ago at Newbury. For this, he should be spot on here. He's got an underlying bit of back class. Again, he's another one that could be anything. I'd be keen to take on Sunray Major, or I wouldn't be put off Sunray. I would be put off taking on Sunray Major at the head of the market. Just any horse that wins before one of these big handicaps by 4 or 5 lengths just seems to get put straight at the top of the market. The fact that it's the Frankie Dettori and John Gosden factor as well, you just lose any value in the price. So I would always advise taking those sort of horses on. I thought Al Rufa would be interesting if he got in. He's a reserve. I don't know what happened last time at Ascot, really. Perhaps it was the deep ground that just didn't suit him. I don't know. But prior to that, he'd have a great shout prior to that off a mark of 100 if he gets in. But I'm sorry, I just haven't gone in too deep. I just ain't got no angles into it. When there's only £10 separating 20 runners, it's just a write-off for me, really. There's better bets elsewhere.
Definitely.
Like Ffos last.
Yeah, exactly. AKA Ffos last. And that's what we're going to move on to. But yeah, very tricky to sign off then with the Balmoral handicap at Ascot. They deliberately leave this race till last. So when you've lost all your money on your earlier races, everyone pitches in with a handicap just to get everyone to rinse off the last bit of change that they have left over. But hugely exciting nonetheless, wide open and as competitive as ever and as tricky a puzzle to solve as ever. But hopefully the hold-up style of running will suit a few of those. Hopefully Sir Busker and then Sheen Murphy can sign off the season with a win. But we shall see. Of course, William Buick on Matthew Flinders, who also has a huge chance, I think, as well in that race. So really exciting. But Daryl, I'm going to come back to you then for anything else from anywhere else. I have no idea where you might go.
Okay, yeah, I've got one at Market Rasen in the 320. No, I actually have. We'll go Senior Citizen at Market Rasen in the 320. This horse is one of my horses to follow from the GG videos. He's got a great record fresh. He's definitely well handicapped off a mark of 134. This looks an okay trip for him. The ground quickening up all the time over there will definitely be in his favour. So he's one to keep on side. And in the 435 at Ffos Las, this is the Welsh champion hurdle. Ballyandy is the horse I'm going to side with, right? And I knew you was going to roll I know someone was going to roll their eyes as soon as I said Ballyandy.
No, I'm touching my heart. I love this horse so much.
Okay,
yeah.
So the last 4 starts for this horse have been in Grade 1 and Grade 2 company, 2 of each. His last run in the handicap was second in the Greatwood off £3 higher. So he's been dropped £3 since then off a mark of 151. I tipped up So Royale at 10-1 in this race last year when he absolutely bolted up.
Nice.
I could not believe he was the price he was, and it's very similar to this horse this year. Ballyandy was second behind So Royale last year, off a £3 higher mark. So Royale is now £7 higher. The third Buzz is rated £19 higher. The fourth Milkwood is rated £10 higher. And Milkwood destroyed this favourite Calico on Calico's last run. This is far, far easier than last year's race on paper. It really is. I don't think too many have got anything in hand off their handicap marks on a time figure basis from last year. I just can't believe he's going to be I've seen one bookmaker price him up at 11-1. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's deja vu of So Royale last year. One of the best bets of the day, Ballyandy. He's not going to get out of free, that's for sure. This will definitely be the target for the Nod and Twisted Davies. He's a 10-year-old now. He's got a good record fresh. Look, get on it 11-1.
Definitely. I love that. I absolutely love that. When you said that you were heading to the Welsh Champion Hurdle, and I didn't necessarily think it was going to be Ballyandy, but I'm so glad it's Ballyandy. He's just a model of consistency, isn't he? He is a 10-year-old now, but he is just wonderful. Good to see Twisted Davis yard back in better form as well. So that is Ballyandy in the 4:35, apologies, at Ffos in the Welsh Champion Hurdle, and at Market Rasen in the 3:20. In that handicap chase. You've also given a positive mention for Senior Citizen to hopefully give Adrian Heskin a welcome return as well to the saddle. So yes, likeable there. Andrew, yourself please, from anything else.
Yeah, just a couple of Catterick at the moment. In the 3:40, the good Class 2 5 furlong handicap, Count d'Orsay, who won the race 2 years ago and finished second by a head last year. He looks to have been laid out for this again, and he's 4-1 favourite or joint favourite, but I thought he was sold enough. And in the 4:15, there's a veteran sprint handicap, a bit like with veterans handicap chases, where you side with the youngest horses, 10-year-olds in that case. These races are open to horses aged 6 or older. And again, you can make money by backing the 6-year-olds who finished unplaced on their latest start. And Captain Jameson, I thought, was perhaps the pick of the 6-year-olds here. So, Count d'Orsay, 3:40. And Captain James at 4:15, both at Catterick. But I've got to do work on the other meetings yet, so there might be some other selections in my column on the website on Saturday morning.
Yeah, definitely so. And I say that website, GG.CO.UK, to find any changes to selections or any other selections when the lads have done or looked into more of the cards then across Saturday as well. So find all the stats, cards, everything there, all on the website. So all that is left to do is get your naps, please, for the weekend. Daryl, I'm pretty sure we're confident about where you're going for your nap, but just to make sure, it is in the 4:35 at Ffos, and you are going for Ballyandy as a nap, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Ballyandy is the nap. The next best is Hamish. Two clear, strong fancies this week.
Yeah, really like that angle a lot. So, yep. And Andrew, to yourself for your nap, please.
Toss up between Ventura Diamond and Njord. I'll go with Ventura Diamond. Both about 80-1. Don't buy a lottery ticket. Have a £1 each way double on that pair. So Ventura Diamond in the Champion Sprint.
Perfect. And I am also heading for the Champion Sprint then at 2 o'clock at Ascot for my nap, which is going to be Creative Force. So hopefully get back to winning ways. Think that this 6 furlongs will suit him. The ground will suit him, and there's more to come from him. And I definitely think he is a Group 1 performer, comfortably so. So they are our naps for the weekend. That is everything covered. Hugely exciting day of British Champions Day, as we have covered, and it's just going to be an absolute cracker. So I hope that the ground stays fair for organisers, for fans alike. Hopefully all main protagonists take up their engagement as well there, and we have also given you plenty of other bets for the weekend as well. But thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed the weekend's action as much as we're going to. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll catch up with you again next weekend.